So it's back to this Ford Transit. It's a 2005 and it's a 2.4 Duratorq. It's a 90 PS version. So thanks for everybody for chiming in on the first video. So most of you were right actually. So what we did, we called time on the pump. Now you can get away with replacing the fuel timing solenoid part, but the guy opted to change out the pump, and it was to stop this carry on. You can see here in this picture that the fueling adjusts itself, and then the next thing it decides to quit and it went into default mode. So we then resolved that problem. I'll now show you what the Ford IDS looks like, and you can listen to the van idling. So you can see there the pump has been changed out, and actually when you watch it, these fueling figures are crazy. First of all, it's injector D. You see, look, it's adjusting by 1.9. Then you stop it and you restart it, and then it's injector C that the trouble seems to be. And then you can do this several times, and each time, well, it didn't change this time, but other times it just keeps jumping out, so it's not actually very accurate. And I'll let you hear when the thing's revving up. No more knock. So you can hear that's fine, and actually these figures do not adjust when you're accelerating for the fueling for injectors A, B, C and D. They just remain static. So actually the only way to test injectors is to get them out and get them flow tested by a specialist. So I think sometimes in the software it's not very great. Anyway, so that's now resolved, but the guy's complaint is a severe lack of power. So we're kind of we were scratching our heads with this one, but so I decided the IDS stopped working for some reason. So we put on the snap-on tool, and I'll show you the PIDs that I got for that. So I decided to use my snap-on Verus to graph some of these PIDs. It's quite good, the Verus, for this. You can just take it, you don't need to watch it and capture the lot. Although I would say, as I've said before, the refresh rate can lag behind, and sometimes you miss the minimum and maximum values, but it puts you in the right area. So we'll just go through these PIDs on the Verus. So you can see here, if you come along here, this shows you actually more clearer. So my normal idle was 800, and my maximum that I got to was 3800. And as I said to you, this thing there was no more knocking or black smoke. It was just simply lacking power. So I thought, we're getting up to about 4,000 revs, but the thing should really get to about 5,000. So then we come down next to our battery. You can see the battery voltage is okay. We're roughly averaging 14.5 volts. No much problem there. The coolant temp, well, the thing was getting up to full heat. You can see that's 217 degrees Fahrenheit, so I think that's just 97 degrees. And when you get down to your air intake, obviously as your engine heats up, so does your air intake. So we start at 44, which was normal, and you can see there you get up to about 78. But as far as I've seen on a turbo van or car, that's pretty normal. We'll now come down to the next set of PIDs. Vehicle, the reference, that's your 5 volt ref, so you can see that the computer was seeing that pretty spot on. And then we came to, I thought this was quite a biggie, there was the mass fuel in milligrams. Now I had really nothing to compare this with, so I had done a Volkswagen Golf, and the figures were roughly the same. It was a 1.9 as well, so a 90 brake horsepower. So you can see it was getting up to there you go, maxing out at 42 milligrams. But actually, when I just scanned that PID itself, it was actually maxing out at 49. So I thought that's okay. Now the other big one, my friend who used to work with Fiat, he said they used to get a problem with the catos. He said the glow plug output would not switch off, and that would keep that in restricted power mode. So you can see there, the glow plugs were indeed switched off, but it's still handy to have that PID. Now the other biggie was the EGR valve position. You can see that, I think that's when it's at rest, it's at this, well, let me see here, I can click onto that, the current, you can see that there. So that's it switched off, that's the EGR valve off when it's at 1.55. So to me the EGR, and indeed it was shutting. And you get a reading in millimeters, which is very handy. So you can see there zeros at the bottom, so every time I was accelerating, as you see in that bit, the EGR valve. It was feeding back for the sensor, it was switched off. Now we come along to the map. Now these map readings, that's only, I'll drop a bit actually. What I'll get in normal atmospheric, as we all know that a diesel is just left the atmosphere, so that's just 8 inches is normal, and anything positive is a turbo kicking in. So you can see it's getting up to 2, but I thought this was better actually. So this is the sensor, the map sensor. It's on the turbo pipes, so you can see it was boosting up to 2.48, and I thought initially that was low, but I then went and tested another motor which was a known good, and it was exactly the same, because I thought initially the problem was the turbo, but it wasn't. So the turbo was good, and I can show you, I'll drop a clip in to show you some of the figures.
So here I'm checking the boost pressure. That's just static, obviously we'll not get much on that.
Getting out the turbo. Now, because the next one is accelerator pedal position, because this does not have an air mass meter, initial load, indeed load values are taken from the accelerator pedal position, and this thing has 3 tracks within the accelerator position. So you can see when this is at, let me see, that must be full load, the first track goes down to 0.87 and it maxes out at 4.09. Now that's exactly right, I checked it with the Verus, and these figures are good. And then we'll go to the next track. You can see there, this one starts at 145 and maxes out at 389, and then another track it starts at 0.8 and maxes out at 3.3. So that's all good. And then I think this third one, just to repeat, let me just go back. I thought some one of them started high then went low. Yeah, it's this one. Track 1 starts high, and when you accelerate it goes low. So 1 high to low and the other 2 are low to high as the normal ways. And that's it. That's all the PIDs we actually need. So that's a good feature in the Verus. You can do that. I cannot do that in that little hotel. It's just hopeless at that kind of thing. So I'll take you on to the next bit of video. So the symptoms now is severe lack of power and not really revving over 3,500 revs. So you can chime in again and see where you think we should go from here. But at least we've sorted the knocking noise. So anyway, cheers.